Marathon, yeah, say that to me, yeah, say that to me, oh, marathon, you can say that to me, yeah, say that, you can say that to me, marathon, yeah, say that.
When I was in college, my professor told me one important rule that not only shaped the next few years of my life, but when I looked at it from a different lens, it shaped basically how I do everything from now on. And he said that, and he meant it literally, but I took it and kind of made it metaphorically and expanded on it. But he said, college is not here to teach you anything. It's to teach you how to learn, right? And also, I know it's not a big deal, not a huge thing. He said, it's not here to teach you how to learn, but it's here to poke at you and pick at you so much so you understand how much you can take in this world, right? So I took that in and I was like, okay, it's here to teach me how to learn and then here to push me past my limits, past my boundaries, past my current abilities, right? So I'm like, okay, what do we do with this situation in my actual life, in my academic life, in my professional life, in my personal life? And I've kind of looked at it like this. I figured out that there's a system behind everything. And I think that if you're chasing something, I think this is more centered around like the entrepreneur type of individual. If you're trying to create something that doesn't exist, if you're trying to get in front of people who don't know you, if you're trying to make money that your family has never made before, then you're going to start to understand what I mean. But there's a system behind everything. There's a pattern behind everything. There's a formula. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Nutrishop Parker. It is your one-stop shop for high-quality supplements, protein powders, and wellness products that actually deliver. Whether you're building muscle, burning fat, or just trying to feel better every day, Nutrishop's expert team can help you find what works best for you. If you're local to Colorado, stop by their Parker location for a personalized experience. And if you are tuning in anywhere in the USA, use code BRANDON at checkout for free shipping on your order. Fuel your goals the right way, the Nutrishop way. All right, let's go. I can give you a billion examples on this. So I'll give you a couple just so it kind of, you have more confidence in how I move forward with it. So if you're young and on TikTok, you've been watching Streamers University. And there was one person, T. Banks, who was kind of breaking down what it means and how you become successful as a streamer. And he was saying that first you have to stream, of course, and you do it for an hour or two, and then you have to spend time and clip it out, basically like cut out sections that showcase your whatever it is that you do, your comedic chops, your dramatic delivery, whatever it is. You chop it up. Then you head over to a platform like TikTok, and then you post it once a day until you figure out the videos that are doing the most. Then you double down on that. So then you start posting 3 clips a day with that same exact thing. So maybe it's you screaming at the top of your lungs, and that's the video that goes off the most. So then you post that type of content 3 times a day, which means that you have to go back to your first streaming thing and start tailoring how you stream for now you're screaming at the top of your lungs a lot more. Then you have more clips, you chop those, and you post it 3 times a day on TikTok. And then you start to blow up on TikTok. And then once you start blowing up on TikTok, then you have to go back over to your streaming, make sure you get some, like he didn't really tell you how, but you have to get some people who will clip your videos for you. Then eventually you go over to YouTube, and then you start creating a clipping YouTube. Then you could put your long form content on YouTube, and then you go to other platforms, and then eventually like you will be a Twitch streamer who's making a decent income, right? So that is a formula for success in that realm of the whole pursuit. So as a streamer, there's a formula. You think it's people just sitting at their desk, enjoying the video game or whatever it is they're talking, and you think that they're just doing this aimlessly. You think that they're just having a good day, and oh man, the game scared me such a degree, so I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, it's a formula for success. I'm not saying that they're not authentically scared, but I do know that there's a click in their brain when they turn the camera on that they have to turn up whatever they're trying to turn up. They have to dial it up times 10. That's one way that you're looking that there's a formula behind success. If you're a real estate agent, there's a formula. Like, it's not about like, or do you understand how to sell a house, right? Did you pass your real estate exam? Okay, you're going to make some money. That's not how it works, because everyone who has a real estate license has passed their test. Everyone, in theory, knows how to sell and or help you buy a house. So how do you be successful in this business? There's a formula, right? And there's multiple formulas. And so I think that I really want to get into this later on, but there's multiple formulas based off of who you see yourself as, which is why step one would have to be know yourself. I'm going to be jumping around, so you may have to come back to this video and watch it. But this video I'm not going to say it's the key to doing anything that you want in this world, but if I gave you any more, even just 1% more understanding of that there's a formula behind everything, and how you get the formula is based off of who you are. So I'll jump around. There's 17 ways that you can be successful as a real estate agent. The realm I chose was the social media realm, where, I schedule showings, I do walkthroughs, I do videos, like just saturating the feeds with social media content, and then virtual people come to me and they're like, okay, I'm in Colorado, can you be my real estate agent? I'm like, sure. And then also, like, I'm a loan officer licensed in all 50 states, so I'll have people from Idaho and Chicago is like, hey, can you help me do my loan? Of course I can, right? So that's also touching on a couple different psychological aspects of what you're doing, because you're here getting social proof in the internet world. Because if you're posting content, giving advice, or talking about certain systems, and people are not in your feed critiquing and talking shit and saying you're not educated, like if people are agreeing and people are saying, hey, I'm going to message you later, I want you to help me buy, like that is you getting social proof. Social proof is when nobody like will take you serious unless somebody takes you serious, right? You can't make money unless you have money, right? You have to spend money to make money. Like these are philosophies that are in almost every other aspect of your life when it comes to success, is that you have to have something before you get something, right? And that's basically the essence of what I want to talk about, amongst other things. This is gonna be a layered video. You have to have something before you get something. There's systems behind everything. There's formulas behind everything. How you get the formula is based off of who you are. So maybe I should write this down. I will take notes on this so we're all on the same page. Formulas, systems, and everything are the same thing, but I just like to use the different words so it clicks in your brain different. Formulas, who you are. What was it? How you get the formulas. You get the formulas. Systems behind everything. Let's focus on those. And there's a million ways to do it, but it's based off of who you are. So the first thing I'll talk about is how you figure out the formula. And this, coincidentally, might be the most important one. But how you figure out the formula behind whatever it is you want to do. If you want to sell cars, if you want to own a business, if you want to be an actor, if you want to be a real estate agent, whatever it is, there's a formula because someone else has done it to a high level. Do you know how I know that? It's because you want to do it, right? People don't want to do things that fail. People don't want to do things that are at a small scale. People don't want to, like, oh, I just think I want to garden. Even the people who want to paint, they all want to be the Da Vinci, right? Is it Da Vinci? Yeah, I think he was a painter. If I'm talking crazy, correct me. They all want to be that. They want their art. Like, obviously, there's people who are just kind of like bare feet and dirty and just want to be connected to the world, this, like this, but they're not going to be watching YouTube videos like this anyway. So this is for you. You want your art to be taken serious. You want to create something meaningful to you, and you want people to also see it as meaningful. You want people to consume, admire, view whatever you're doing as something worthwhile, and a lot of the times that comes with a high price tag. So, but don't misconstrue this. This is not a video about how to make money, because it's about how you create and find things that are great and then find the greatness in you, which money follows every aspect of that. So when you're talking about the formula, how do you find the formula? First of all, the easiest way is look at somebody who's done it, but then you also have to understand that the people who you happen to look at, like if you want to make music, you're looking at Drake, he's not following the same formula that got him to become Drake because he's already Drake. So what you have to do is you have to pick and choose, trial and error, how he started. And the thing about these people who make it is they never really tell you how they started. If you watch a lot of videos, it's about, oh, well, I was going to give up and you know, I was on my way to the bus stop And then a ticket flew across and it said Los Angeles. And I was like, oh, I was going to go home to Oklahoma, but this ticket says Los Angeles. It's a sign that I'm supposed to go to Los Angeles, and that's where my dream is at. So instead, I shredded up my Oklahoma ticket and I got a new ticket. And I went to Los Angeles, and then everything's a history. That's how they all tell their story, right? No one's taking you step by step. And it's because they don't know how they got there, but you can. So the formula is starting, right? And everybody says that. So I'm not going to tell you something new at the beginning, but I am going to bring it together as something new. Starting. If you want to rap, whether you have a microphone, whether you have anything, if you have vocal cords, just sit in your room and just try and put together something. If you're a real estate agent and you know nobody who wants to buy a house, and you don't even have your real estate license, and you don't have money to pay for the real estate exam, you know what you do is you go on YouTube and you start looking at houses. Just looking at houses. You could even, if you have a car, get in your car and drive by some houses that you like and do it every day. This is what starting means. The formula is something that comes when you start. The formula comes before you're even able to recognize the formula. The formula is it's like a godly, cosmic, electromagnetic, whatever you want to call it, type of situation that converges when God knows you're after something. When I don't want to this is not trying to be like a secular type of talk, but I want to put this in words, because another thing that I believe is I don't have to force down your throat any type of religious doctrine, because if you are in pursuit of the truth, if you're in pursuit of greatness, if you're in pursuit of good things, what is the ultimate good? What is the ultimate truth? What is the ultimate success? It is God. So you will find Jesus in any pursuit you have if you are willing to chase what the truth is to the fullest extent. So I'm not trying to segue God into it, but I know that God has segued into everything. So I will use all these terms so you understand me wherever you're at in your walk. So the universe, let's say the universe. The universe knows that there's people who say they want things and you don't want it. So why would it tell you the formula in the same way or at the same time as somebody who really wants it? So what you have to do is you have to convince not only yourself, but you have to convince the universe that you're serious. And the universe doesn't know if you're serious or not, right? It does, but you prove you're serious through your actions. So your starting is the formula, right? So let's say I want to be a real estate agent, and let's say I want to be a doctor. And I just watch House all the time. Let's use that example. And I'm always watching House. Then I'm over to Grey's Anatomy. Your brain starts to create, from a scientific standpoint, new connections, right? New pathways where now you're starting to see life from a more medical lens, from a more doctor standpoint. And when you're out in your normal life, you start to see things as a doctor would. They say that myocarditis all the time. They say House is always talking about opioids and things like that. Then you start to see people out on the streets maybe he's not actually high on weed. He might be high on opiates. And that's you're starting to understand the formula of how things go. So let's say eventually things are going to happen where then an opportunity is going to come in front of you, or you create the opportunity. I'm always an advocate for creating opportunity and not having things come to you. But you start to save your money in a way that you're okay, I fully have just decided I'm committed to getting my real estate license or going back to school for a doctoral program. So you're looking at FAFSA, or you save your money to do the real estate exam, and eventually, you pass it, whether you pass it the first time or pass it the 70th time, whatever kind of dice roll is in front of you is what your the cards that you're dealt. Meaning that it took me 3 times to pass my real estate exam, but it took me 3 days to pass the loan officer exam. And it's because there was a fair amount of, am I serious about doing this? Do I really want this? So the loan officer one, the cards I was dealt was I happened to just absorb that knowledge pretty fast, and it only took me 3 days of studying, took the test, passed it. The real estate exam is I really wanted it, but I had to prove that I really wanted it by failing 3 times in a row. right? And that hits you different than when you just win. Like, obviously, learning from my mistakes. I'm like, okay, so I learned in that process that I really wanted it. And doing that, that taught me the formula for knowing myself. The formula for knowing, do I really want something or do I not? When you win all the time, you will never know if you really wanted it. LeBron going to the finals 9 times in a row and only winning 3 of those times lets you know how much he wanted it, how serious he was, and how he doesn't have a quit in him, and that is more admirable than never losing. I would argue Michael Jordan does not know how much he would have really loved winning a championship because he's never lost. Of course, you could look at that from the other side, is that he was so diligent and focused in preparation up to it that he wasn't even leaving room to catch a loss. And I think that that's a fair assessment, but always something worth the conversation. Right, so the next thing is the formula comes with who you are. And like, again, I'm going to talk in the way that I normally talk, so I'm going to jump around because I like to keep you moving back and forth. And hopefully it's not in a confusing sense to where you still understand what I'm saying. So the formula comes based off who you are. So let's go back to the first example with T. Banks and his people at Streamers University talking about how you actually become a good streamer. And I used the example of you yelling in your clip. Like, maybe yelling at the top of your lungs is what gets people the most engaged. So then you go back and do that a bunch of times. But if you're not a yeller, right? I'm not somebody who yells. I don't enjoy how yelling feels. I don't have the temperament of somebody who likes to yell. So even if I did it in one clip, if that takes off, I have to look at myself and be like, okay, I have to commit to my life being a facade of itself. I have to be acting all the time. I have to find the character of somebody who yells because that's what people want me to do. They want me to yell. And then I'll touch on that. Or I have to keep doing some trial and error and see if there's another part of my personality that people will also like just as much as they like me yelling and being an eccentric type of person. I will always point you towards this direction about finding something else that works, because that's where you get all the crazy actors. That's where you get all the pill popping drug people, like, who are having to play a character all the time. It works a lot better when you're yourself, right? So Will Smith talked about how he was Mr. Nice Guy for 30 years straight, but sometimes he's not feeling like a nice guy. But because it's his brand, he's had to do that every time he's out in public. He has to be that nice guy. And then you see what happened after, when his energy is low and he's like, I don't feel like being a nice guy anymore. And now look at how people treat him, right? That would have never happened if he had always played who he really was. Look at Eminem for the example. Eminem, in my opinion, has been playing who he really is his whole life, which is why if he pops out and he's nice, people are like, okay. If he pops out and he's mean and hateful, whatever, people are like, okay, that's Eminem, right? So he's played the game the right way. And of course, like, his industry, being a rap artist, like, he's allowed to play both sides of that because people, for some reason, give rappers a pass in being a, decently speaking member of society. But it still reigns true. He really, like, Eminem told you the formula in his movie 8 Mile, where he was talking about himself, because if you put yourself out there first, people cannot use it against you. People are using Will Smith against himself. When you're looking at success in society, you have to make sure that whatever it is that you are putting out there is something that you know you can keep up forever, right? So if you're the type of individual who changes interests, changes who they are, like, sometimes you're super happy, sometimes you're super sad, blah, blah, like, you have almost a responsibility, if not completely a responsibility to yourself, to make sure that if you're putting yourself out in the public, in the spotlight, to let them know that you are like that, because that's going to come back and bite you. So as you're putting yourself out there and creating these formulas and this, like, first do, then you keep doing, then you find who you are. And then once you find who you are, let's say, like, let's just go back to the first example. If you are the type who enjoys yelling and you think that that's comedically funny and that's something you find doing, the next formula opens up for you. Then you start getting content of other people who are yelling. You start looking around and seeing, like, then you start researching, because it's things that you really want. other comedians, other streamers who have found success while yelling. And that opens up the next floor of formulas. Like every level has its own formula, its own system for getting to the next level. And then there's never an end to that level. There's never an end. So as you're looking for all the situations, we have to go back to like, I got to restate it again. Like, do you really want it? Okay. To prove that you really want it, you have to keep doing it wherever you're at with no money, with a bunch of money, this. Then you find who you are. Next formulas open up. And the reason why I was using the doctor example and the real estate example, the network engineer, whatever it is, like, it's because it's in everything that you do. Like the easiest example is the gym, right? Like you have to commit to going often. There's science, there's formulas for how to build muscle. There's science and formulas of how to go to the Olympia if you want to, like, or if you even have the genetic ability to go to the Olympia, there's a formula and system for that. So if this video is basically designed for you to look at things a little differently and then to have a little bit more clear lens of why things are not happening for you or why things are happening for you. If you're watching this, things are probably not happening for you in the way that you think they should be. So instead of trying to find someone else's formula, you have to understand that you have your own formula for where you're at. Like if they say that Drake is using this marketing tactic is not going to work for you because he's at a crazy level compared to where you're at. So what are the people around you doing? If there's nobody around you at your level, then you have to just keep doing at your level. And then you might look at yourself and be like, it's been 2 years of doing things the same way. Like I still don't have a microphone. I still don't have a computer. I still can't write and I still can't rap. Like I still can't like record my raps. Like I don't have a producer. Then you have to do that uncomfortable mirror work where you're like, okay, it must mean that I'm not ready to record anything yet. And I think that's going to sound crazy if you're looking at yourself in the mirror saying that, because if you've been writing a rap every single day for 2 years straight, and then you look around and you know that Kesha exists, and you know that other rappers who can't rap exist, what kind of audacity would you have to say that you're still not ready, even though you've made 600 songs, and these people haven't, and like these people were allowed to have a microphone and a platform on their 30th song. And that's where the game of your specific system really comes into play. Who are you as an individual? Stop looking at what other people are doing. Your system, whatever universe structure is on you, whatever dice you were given, you were rolled, is in your own formula, meaning that maybe you did need to make 600 songs before you were trusted enough to get your own microphone, to get your own laptop. And it's designed to make you not get into a situation that you hate for the rest of your life. Maybe on that 601 writing song, you really look yourself in the mirror like, I don't even like rap music. I don't think I want to be a rapper anymore. And then you scrap it and you move on to something else. But if you had a microphone, and let's say you got some decent views and success at song number 50, you wouldn't have figured out that you took your life down a horrible path that you don't even like until song number 600. And then what would that have done to you mentally? You would have essentially been wearing a Will Smith mask for 30 years. And what happens after that? You don't like yourself. People don't like you. Your family does this, your family does that. Like, it's a whole situation of finding out who you really are and trusting the process. Like, they keep saying, trust the process, but it's not the process, it's trust your process. You have to believe in yourself, you have to understand your systems, and you have to look around at your life and smell the roses of your life and see the fruits of your labors and see what comes from that. And that is the only way you win in this world. Stop looking at life through Drake's lens. Don't look at it through Kendrick Lamar's lens. Don't look at it through Dr. House's lens. Like, even if you could become a doctor and you are talented like Dr. House, your life is not going to look like his, which means that the way that you get there will be different. So if you've gotten anything from this video, we combined it 4 different ways. There's formulas, who you are, how you get the formulas, and what it really means to have the formula. Don't look at their formula. Okay, until next time.
Yeah, say that to me, yeah, say that. Yeah, say that to me, oh marathon. You can say that to me, yeah, say that. You can say that.